Yes, welcome to Sunday Night Futures Live. Welcome to another trading week. For whatever reason, my camera is not working tonight. That's why I was a little bit late here. And I just can't figure it out. Strange. We have a lot to go over, so I don't want to waste time trying to figure this out, and nobody really needs to see my face, so we'll just continue. I have a bunch of chart requests to go through. We're going to go through to 7 p.m. tonight, as we normally do. If I have time left over, I will definitely take requests from the audience, and let's begin with let's begin with saying hello. Oliver, yes, hello. Smash the like button. Thank you, as always, Oliver. Anthony, hello. Amerimigo, hello to you, sir. Franklin, hello. I know they do, Franklin. Franklin just typed in, these Sunday night events come way too fast. No joke. Eric, hello. Yancey, hello. SPGR. All right. Westerlaw, hello. Young, Chuck, Jedi. Good evening, Bob. Easy to see that you are an intuitive trader. You make quicker and much hunch plays than the rest of us. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. G, hello. Amelia, hello. Trisha, hello. Corey, good to see you. Whatever you see posted up there, that's the performance. Yep. Coastal Collection, hello. Anthony, Tip for Tat, hello. Good evening, everyone. Already a bunch of likes. Good stuff. Joe, hello. All right, let's do this. All right, so the futures are open. We're taking a look at the S&P 500, and we're flat. We're flat. Not a lot of news out there. There were some explosions in Iran. Apparently, we have either us, Israel, or the both of us are doing some cyber warfare against Iran because you just have explosions all over the place. And whether or not that'll influence the market, I guess really depends upon any retaliation that the Iranians put forth. But this is like the 7th attack in the past week. So really big stuff going on over in the Middle East. And plus the Iranians now have 25 million COVID cases they just announced. So I guess we, the Israelis, are viewing that as an opportunity to take advantage of a horrible situation. All right, so S&P 500 flat. Let's take a look at small caps. They're down slightly. You always like to see on a Sunday evening at least on the futures anyway, a new weekly high. We do not have that. Let's see if we start putting in lower highs and lower lows. And in fact, what I want to do, I want to create an alert here because the small caps had a really good week last week. Okay. So I want to know if we begin to break down to new lower lows. We do have this is a 4-hour chart. These will all be 4-hour charts. We do have a new low on RSI. We have broken a trend line here. Really means not all that much until, of course, price follows through to the downside. right now, this is just a cautionary note that we will keep an eye on. Let's take a look at yields. I've been talking a lot about yields with members. I'm concerned about, we booked some profits last week on our gold mining trade. We're still very long, but I'm worried about a spike in yields. And I'll tell you, this chart here is not really helping my argument all that much, because what it appears to be setting up here on a 4-hour chart is an inverted head and shoulders setup on the 10-year Treasury note. And you can see here, here's the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And so what we'll do here is take our crayon out. You can see we've already begun to break out. Let's elevate this a bit. You could make the argument that we've broken out already. But that's a secondary resistance level. And why is this important? It's important because if you see yields rally, that means you'll probably see the financials rally as well. And they did find some footing last week. And we haven't seen that in a while. And that's in the face of really disappointing earnings data, with the exception of Goldman Sachs. So watch for a breakout here on the 10-year note. But I'll tell you, I'm going to go to the chart in a moment. A weekly chart of the 10-year yield is quite scary. In fact, I do think by the end of the week, we will probably see a rally in yields, and that's my big concern for the commodity plays, short term anyway. Speaking of commodities, let's go over the dollar, then we'll segue into commodities. The dollar is down, no shock. Was not a good week last week. We closed smack dab at support. We are attempting to rally off the closing lows of last week. Taking a look at gold. Gold is flat on the session. Note the lower highs. So we are flagging out here on a 4-hour basis. And don't get me wrong, I'm very, very bullish of gold longer term. I'm just concerned about the knee-jerk reaction of a spike in yields and what that'll do to gold. Frankly, any pullback on gold, the miners, silver, platinum, palladium, commodities across the board, with the exception of maybe oil, I think that you need to be a buyer. Silver, down on the session, so far flat. Well, actually, down a 0.25 percentage point, not flat. All right, so do we put in a lower high? And what we'll do with the cash that we raised from scaling back on our mining position is rotate that into financials if in fact we're accurate and we do see a spike in yields. And we'll probably take a look at the FAS, which is the leveraged ETF, putting you long in the banks, maybe Goldman Sachs. So tight consolidation here, possible lower high. It doesn't matter until, of course, we break support. And that break may never come. Okay. Oh, I screwed that up. You got to click below, Bob. There you go. Okay. Let's check out some other commodities. Thanks for that, Corey. I'll play around with it in a little while. Hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy? Anthony, thank you. I don't think anybody misses seeing my mug, but you're a kind gentleman. Thank you. You know what? I want to check something out here really quick. I want to just check my settings on my screencaster to make sure that it's set properly. It's not letting me edit while I'm live. All right. We'll have to live like this. Okay, let's continue. Bitcoin broke support last week. I was optimistic that we would get a breakout, and it never did so. So this is why it pays not to buy on the hope. Like back here, you could see that we broke out. We came back in to pull retest. This is back in May, and it failed. Same deal here. Broke out. This is in June. Pulled back, and it failed. So what this chart is telling us is that if and when Bitcoin finally gets back up to, let's call it what, 10,000, let's just call it 10,000. We need to see a close above that mark, and we need to see a retest, and that retest be successful. We don't want to buy on the breakout and then hope that it holds, because the market is telling us it's got, you have selling pressure up there. Continuing on with commodities, oil, flat, quiet market. Quiet. Nat gas, weak, down nearly 1.5%. Corn, which has been on a tear of late, has pulled back. Remember, we were talking about this potential breakout a while ago, back here. Now we're pulling back. I think corn is looking really, really good. We'll probably get a couple of more weeks of sideways consolidation, and we'll look to possibly get long with the Tektrium corn ETF. Let's check out. Oh, by the way, members, I've updated the watch list with stop loss points, target prices, and adjusted last week's symbols for the new stop loss points and entry points for symbols that we've been watching for the past couple of weeks. Soybeans. So we pull back here. All right, so a quiet market for the most part. Copper. Copper, which has been on a tear. Consolidating nicely. And We'll keep an eye on copper. Steel had a good week last week. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at some symbols that were requested. There's really nothing in terms of news that would hinder or help the market. Moving into the trading week, we have a big blockbuster week for earnings. Tomorrow in the evening, we have IBM. And tomorrow's not the big day. Thursday's a big day. We have a lot of regional banks that will be reporting this week. Cal-Maine Foods, which is on our list, it's a members chart request to go over tonight. Cal-Maine Foods is reporting tomorrow. Extremely volatile stock. I would not buy it in advance of earnings. That's a good point, Amerimigo. A very good point. Amerimigo just typed in, flooding in China could hit the pharmaceuticals. That's a very, very good point. Now, jumping to Thursday. I believe it's Thursday. Yeah. Amazon, Intel, Twitter. Twitter's on our watch list this week. A lot of big names coming out this week. Some airlines, regional banks. So get ready for volatility. And the two charts that I'm watching very, very closely are these two. First up, the 10-year yield. I mentioned earlier, I'm looking for a pop in yields. Why? Why is that? Take a look at your RSI. Higher lows, holding the lower band of support. Stokes, higher lows, flattening out. Above 20, a sign of strength. The only thing that really is not helping us yet is price. But we did rally off the lows of the week, but we still closed down on the week. And we have the potential for a higher low here. In fact, what I want to do is update this. And amend our support and resistance levels. And we could bounce around in this range for quite some time. But if we do begin to rally here on yields, we'll be watching the banks. Now, the next chart up that we're watching closely, volatility, which was just absolutely hammered last week. Hey, Will, absolutely hammered. Big bullish reversal bar. A bearish reversal bar, I'm sorry. Bearish reversal bar. Time to amend this. So to be frank, the stage is set, given the price action on the VIX, the price action on the S&P 500. Honestly, we're bullish. Hey, Pat, we're bullish going into the new trading week. So let's move on to our chart requests. And this portion of Sunday Night Futures Live is brought to you by TrendSpider, the my personal spell check for technical analysis. There's a link below, 35% off, the lowest rate you're going to get on the internet for TrendSpider. Highly recommend it. And we are an affiliate too. All right, first chart up, PETS. I believe this is for Trish, if memory serves. For those that are new, we do multi-time frame analysis, meaning we start with a monthly chart, drill down to a weekly chart, and end off with a daily chart to get a feel for where a stock has been, to identify where it might be going. That's the methodology. And an attempted breakout so far this month has been rebuffed. Still liking UTSO with no, Joseph. No, I'll get nervous if I'll get nervous of the utility position if yields begin to rally, because the knee-jerk reaction is going to be to sell utilities, and I prefer not to be a part of that that avalanche of selling. So we'd be looking to book profits on a breakout on yields. So good question. All right. So PETS monthly chart looking good here. No breakout yet. We're right at resistance. I couldn't buy just yet unless the other charts give me reason to. And no. And the reason is that we're just shy of resistance. Not enough reward to accept the risk of buying right here, right now. Were I long? Would I sell? No. Loving the RSI and Stokes on a weekly basis. Daily chart. So here's something that's interesting. And this is what I mean by having your mind perhaps changed a bit. And we'll talk about it. And then I'm going to overlay a weekly chart on top of the daily chart. In fact, let's do it now. So I think this is an overlapping. Perhaps not. Okay, so this illustrates it best. All right, so this is a weekly chart on top of a daily chart, just to illustrate from a higher level view where we have weekly resistance, right? So if you take this off, this is a great chart. It's not bad. And you may be saying it was down, Bob. What are you talking about? Friday was a bad day. No. What it's doing is that it broke out on Thursday. It pulled back on Friday. This is traders being OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. They want to validate that what was resistance is now support. So I don't think that we're going to go skyrocketing up higher on Monday. But if you wanted to put on a trade here, small position with the stop loss right below Friday's lows, I'd be okay with that. And then I would look to add more as we rally through weekly resistance, because if we close above weekly resistance, this is your upper band of resistance up here, up at around $48 per share, if not higher by the time it gets there, because this is an ascending upper band of resistance. Now, I will point out that we had a breakout in RSI, and that was rejected on Friday. So I would just reinforce the fact that if you do decide to buy at the support level, I would keep that stop right below the lows of Thursday. Oh, PETS earnings before the market open. Thanks for that, Tough Tap. Great info. BTG Gold. I mean, it's a gorgeous chart. There's nothing wrong with this chart. New monthly highs. Weekly chart. Obviously, new weekly highs. We closed very close to the highs of the week, if not at the highs of the week. I think that we continue to press up higher here. No divergences on the indicators. The only thing that could cause these shares to pull back right now would be a spike in yields. And if we do get a spike in yields, I don't think that it means that it's not a death knell for gold or the gold stocks. I think it's going to provide an opportunity, because even if they took yields up to 1%, they're still ridiculously low. So any pullback on gold, silver, the miners is an opportunity to load up on more, because inflation is coming. And look no further than the tip market, because Treasury inflation protected securities made new all-time highs last week. So inflation is on its way. Daily chart. The only thing I have to say about the daily chart is that we do have some resistance above here on a daily basis. Probably not a lot of resistance. I think on a close above 620 per share, or an apparent close, if at 3:55 Eastern Standard Time we're trading above 620 per share, you're looking to add more to the position, go for it. Or open up a position, go for it. If we do get a spike in yields, watch for a pullback, maybe down to this lower band of the rising uptrend channel. It's a rising lower band, so I'm not sure where it would be, but mid fives. Moving on to AIM. Implied volatility on BTG 115. Okay, good info. RL, hello. We have a lot of names to go through. AIM. All right. So, very close to a major breakout here. At, let's call it $3.50 per share. If we close above that mark, it's game on for AIM. We have a breakout with rising Stokes, rising RSI, weekly chart. We are very close to a weekly breakout. In fact, let me amend what I just said. We have a breakout on a weekly basis, a successful one at that. We broke out here the week of July the 6th. We retested last week, it held, and then we had a follow-through rally for the remainder of the week. The problem is that it ran into resistance. So again, I would say $3.50 per share would get me into this stock. Or if we traded sideways and we broke out, it's not going to be next week. If we trade sideways, the week after, 2 weeks from now, and we break out above resistance, I would be a buyer of the shares at around $3 per share, maybe even a two handle if we consolidate in this trading range between 290 and 240, 250 per share. I'm loving the RSI here. We broke out last week. Actually, we broke out 2 weeks ago. Loving this. Stokes doing the right thing. Daily chart. So what I would do here is I would set up two alerts. One here. I'm going to call it a weekly breakout. I like this stock. I'm going to keep this active for the next 10 days. I want sensitivity to be very low. All right, there's trade entry point number 1. Trade entry point number 2 is on a pullback. And again, we'll keep this active for the next 10 days. Now I forget about it. I don't care what it does. All I care about is if we pull back and retest or if we break out or both. Next chart up. PRVCF. Man, biotechs are on fire. All right, monthly chart. Again, we want to identify where the stock has been to get a feel for where it might be going. This appears to be a penny stock. Not a lot of data here. Let's go to a weekly chart. They ripped it last week, but you knew this wasn't going to end well as we pierced that third standard deviation Bollinger Band. We broke down on RSI. Don't like to see that. So the question becomes this. This was resistance. Let's call it 5 cents a share. You could see that last week we closed right there. Will this now act as support? The market will tell us. So I think that these shares can be bought. I don't know if I would use a static stop loss order here. I would, because they'll take you out. I think that you'd want to definitely stop out should we fail to hold 5 cents per share. And I would stay small here. I would look to add on a breakout above this upper band of resistance at, let's call it, I don't even know if you can put an order in. Let's call it 5, 0. You can tell how often I trade penny stocks, which is never. 0.052. I don't know if you're going to get that price. But maybe 6 cents a share. You wait for the breakout above that mark, and you look to add there. There you go. So you can buy here, stop out on a break, add more on a close above 6 cents per share. Next chart up. BE. Bloom Energy. We've done this one before. It's been a while because my alert expired. So we did break out. I marked this as the resistance level. That's why I set the alert there. We have broken out. Now I'd be looking for a retest of support. We'll keep it active for a few days. Yeah, you can't buy the stock right now. That doesn't mean it can't go higher, because whenever I say that, the stock goes higher. Just smack me in the face. but the shares are trading above, and it's just a rule I have. I don't buy stocks that are trading above their third standard deviation Bollinger Band. This one is. And don't get confused. For those folks that are new to technical analysis, your out-of-the-box Bollinger Band is a 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band. This is a modified Bollinger Band to make it a 3 standard deviation Bollinger Band. So it may look different on your charting software, but we did close out the week above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I would not be a buyer. I would look for a pullback to ideally this support level down here at 1372, or perhaps let's call it 1450 per share. And the energy stocks finally began to firm up last week. Okay. Daily chart. Yeah, I think we're going to pull in here. That's a good thing. Thursday, we had a bearish reversal bar. Friday, an outside day. I think we'll probably pull back on BE. These are your price points you'd want to take a look at. 1450 thereabouts, 1371. Those are the 2 price points. SRNE, a familiar name. Tommy, is that you with the coastal real estate? Okay. All right. We've had a nice run here. We pierced through. Cool, I got you, Tommy. We pierced through the third standard deviation Bollinger Band, and resistance was found. All right, we drew this the last time we went over this chart, and sure enough, it is now resistance. Stokes are rising. RSI is still rising. I don't like the topping action. I don't like the fact that we are trading at a resistance level. So I wouldn't be a buyer here. But it's just based on a monthly chart. Let's spend some time. Weekly basis, big pullback last week. Closed down below support. Thursday, Friday, good day. I didn't want to change that. But again, we close right at resistance. So what's the play here? How do we manage a trade like this when we want to enter? You know, I would go back to the weekly chart. And we want to first respect the fact that we did close down below this support level last week. What was the closing price? 6.97. Support is at, let's call it $7.02. Now, if we pop up higher on Monday and we close out the day above 7.02, then I think this is negated, right? As long as we put our stop loss right back down below the closing price of last week, keep that loss tight, you can nibble on the share, stay very, very small. And if we close out the week above this resistance level, and especially if we open up next week above this current resistance level, and we hold it for 2 consecutive weeks, then you could add more to the trade. But I would just nibble, nibble, nibble. And if we do not manage to close out the day tomorrow above $7.02, watch for a pullback and a retest of $6.06. That would be an interesting level to buy at. If not, really, for an extreme pullback, down here is even more attractive. 5.75. If we get down there, I would be interested. I don't know if I'm spelling therapeutic right, but close enough. And we're good to go. So SRNE, I would be very, very patient with. Allow it to come to you and prove that it's worthy of your investment dollar. VXRT. Another high flyer. On a monthly basis, we're trading above for the second consecutive month. We closed above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band last month. This month, we're back above with a new monthly high. Very powerful stock. Weekly chart. Incredibly strong chart here, but incredibly extended as well. That being said, it'll probably press up higher, but I wouldn't buy it here. I couldn't buy it here. I would be a seller. At least partially of my trade and put a trailing stop loss order in on a percentage basis and let the market take me out. Very nice. Indicators do exactly what you want them to do, but we're at nosebleed levels in terms of their price relative to the Bollingers. Daily chart, we're consolidating here. I think they could easily squeeze shorts on this yet again, forcing it up higher, but it's not going to end well. So I would be a seller of the rips on VXRT. It will pull back. That's your opportunity to get back long yet again. Calmaine, near and dear to my heart. My little egg company. But it is extremely volatile. All right, the monthly chart, you can see we've been flirting with the breakout for quite some time. This is not really the chart that I like to use. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to take you to a different chart that I've used with Calmaine, because it tells a completely different story about where these shares are probably going. This is a quarterly chart. Now, we broke out last quarter successfully. Now we're going to pull back, and we're probably going to retest. So they are reporting earnings this week. I'm looking for a hopefully a sell-off. They disappointed last quarter. The shares sold off. But they did, of course, bounce back to ultimately break out. So hopefully we get the pullback, retest, and I would look to be, I would be a buyer on any pullback. But only after earnings. Loving the Stokes, rising, double bottom setup. And remember, this is on a quarterly basis. So this is a really big macro 100,000 foot view of the battlefield and a beautiful long-term, multi-year consolidation on Cal-Maine Foods. I'm very bullish. However, we are at resistance. We don't have a breakout yet on a monthly basis. I would like to see a quarterly retest of support. VXRT premium selling, yeah, that makes sense. It's a great looking chart longer term. I think it's going higher. You know, it's extended, but sure, if you can get some nice premiums on it, I'd be a seller of premium. You can see on this weekly chart again, we're being rebuffed. Ideally, if we get a disappointing earnings report, which I hope we do, just remember this is a very volatile stock. No market orders. You'll get a horrible fill. Limit orders only. The two price points I'd be looking for. First at $40.48. We have two resistance levels we're watching here. For an extreme pullback. Okay. And this stock could easily hit either one of these two levels this coming week on a disappointing earnings report. Very, very volatile. Daily chart. Not bad. We retested support on Friday. It held. We rallied. Good stuff. But I wouldn't be a buyer in front of earnings. Next chart up. Fprx. Long-term downtrend. We remain in that downtrend. We did break out, or we have broken out in May. We have yet to retest. We may never retest. We always like to see a retest. Stokes have broken out. RSI is broken out. Weekly chart. Very nice week last week. We broke out here. Week of June the 22nd, retest number 1. Week of June the 29th, retest number 2. Week of July the 6th. Then last week, retest number 3. Continuation move higher. But we did not close above 718. If we rally through 718, 720 per share this coming week, I think you could buy on that continuation move higher. Daily chart. Yeah. So you can see that TrendSpider is picking up my resistance level. So a rally through 720 per share would have me long of the trade. I don't think we're going to retest for a fourth time. It's rare, and if you do, it's usually not a good thing. It's great to retest. It's not great to have multiple retests because something's off. So I like this chart. I'd be looking for a continuation move. We have the higher lows. Now all we need are the higher highs. Great consolidation in here and a breakout on Friday. Very, very nice. Very bullish. ADMA. Monthly chart, no new. Let's get rid of this. Well, we do have a monthly high, but we can't close there. Or we haven't closed there yet. I like the chart, but I don't like the fact we're so close to resistance. $3.41 is resistance. Weekly chart. We broke out last week. But here's that resistance level. Loving RSI. Very nice. If you get a retest of support here, I'd be a buyer because I could put a stop loss right below. Or if we broke out. Very nice. Set it and forget it. Let the charts do the work for you. Here are my alerts right here. I won't think about ADMA until my alert is fired off. APPS. That can't be right. I think I saw Yancey on here earlier. Yancey, can you confirm that symbol, please? APPS. If you're still on. Oh, there it is. It came up. Forget it. Sorry about that. Very nice. Big breakout in June. Massive breakout. We retested the breakout point thus far in July. It held. The low of the month is 12.82. Excuse me. 11.76. Read the wrong number. 11.76. Weekly chart. They attempted to break it out. It's been rejected. I would look to buy on a close above 1350 or add. Or if we pull back and do another retest of, let's say, 1244, that would be attractive as an entry point. BA stop loss on what symbol, buddy? Oh, for VXRT. Let me wrap up this one. I'll go back to VXRT. APPS daily basis. Nice consolidation here. I'd be fine with opening up a position. Just keep a stop loss right below. You want to keep it loose. Right down here, 1174. I don't like these Stokes. But I do like the consolidation. The chart's looking good. Stop loss on VXRT. The first one that jumps out at me is a break below this support level here. I wouldn't be a buyer here. Not right here, not here right now. Stop loss right below the support level at around, let's call it 13 per share. That makes sense to me. PRU. All right. Prudential. A lot of noise on this chart. I think you're setting up a triangle formation on a monthly basis. Okay, weekly chart makes a little bit more sense to me to analyze. Nice breakout the week of June the 1st. Orderly pullback last week, a continuation breakout. We have a breakout on RSI. Stokes have flattened out. They're beginning to hook back up. Weekly chart is looking very, very good. We do have a bit of resistance above here at 65. Let's call it $65 a share. If you're looking to add or open, I would do it there, or on a pullback to this lower band of support at around, it's rising, so it's going to change. Let's call it $62.50 per share, $62 a share. It's a good chart. I'm bullish on it. But just keep in mind, you do have resistance above, so I would not open up a new position right here, right now. Too much risk, not enough reward. I'd wait for the breakout or a pullback, one of the two. SPGR. Told you I had a lot of symbols tonight. SPGR. Is that accurate? If whoever requested this can just confirm it for me, please, I'd appreciate it. I have it written down as SPGR. Maybe I wrote it down wrong. I'll move on until I get that response. Star bulk carriers. I'm just going to go with the weekly chart, then a daily chart. We're over. Nice orderly pullback. Really nice. I think if you get a breakout this week, you could probably look to open a position, scratch the itch, but I would be more of an aggressive buyer on a close above this resistance level at, let's call it $7.50 per share. Rising indicators, daily chart. We broke out on Thursday, retested on Friday, exactly what you want to see. Stokes are rising. They're still down below 50. We may even get another retest here. I'd buy on that retest. Let's overlay weekly resistance. Okay, in dashed line. Is there monthly? No. Good looking chart. Nice weekly breakout, nice daily breakout. I would look for a new weekly high to scratch the itch, and I would definitely wait till the final minutes of trade to make sure that we close at a new weekly high. I want to see it close above this resistance level, and let's call it 660 per share. The next chart up. Netflix for Anthony. All right. So, needless to say, last week was a disaster area for Netflix. So the question now becomes, is this party over? If we fail to hold this resistance level at, let's call it 484 per share, we've probably seen a top, and this is on a monthly basis, we've probably seen a top in Netflix. I think there's a good chance that we pull back further. I mean, it was priced for perfection. Technically, I mean, it was ridiculous. I would not have held these shares into earnings. Daily chart. Yeah, you know, if you're looking to trade it for a pop, we'll hold it here at 4. Let's call it 494. But I think ultimately we're going to come back down here at 474. We have a breakdown, lower highs and lower lows now on Stokes. So they're in a downtrend on a daily basis. RSI, same deal, lower highs, lower low now. Too much risk, not enough reward for me here. Technically, a basket case short term anyway, and possibly longer term if the selling continues. And I could be wrong here. Maybe somebody's going to find value, buy them here. Maybe the shares will get bid back up on more money printing. But taking the money printing equation out of the scenario, technically, I don't like Netflix. I think there's a lot more potential for downside moves here. And if there's, in this environment, if they're forecasting forward-looking guidance that is not great, then that's a major concern. When will it be great? When you have people that are dug into their homes and can't leave. SBL. Oh, we already did SBL. GS. They reported good numbers. They rallied and it faded. I think this one comes down to yields. It did not hold up well on Friday. I think we're going to see more selling here. But that selling could be opportunity. 206 looks good as support. So we close at the lows of the day on Friday. The probability of us continuing lower is fairly strong. I look for support at 206.50 to 203 per share. NVAX. Let's go to a weekly chart. Incredible move higher here. Very, very extended. We have RSI where? At 96.84. That's insanity. Leaning into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. Would I short these shares? No. But we may at some point in time in the future. I think we can proceed higher, but this is another one. It's not going to end pretty. But as it stands right now, the path of least resistance remains higher. I would not buy these shares. If I were long, I'd use a trailing stop loss order and let the market take me out, scale out of the position. DXCM. You know, the daily chart, my first inclinations was to say, wow, looking really good here. Then you take a look at a weekly chart, and we are extended and at not extended, I shouldn't say that. We have resistance above, as noted here in red, at 446.51. That being said, we have support below. First at 375.49, then at 354. So the price action of last week I do not like. The only positive that could be said is that we rallied off the lows of the week, but we did not have enough bulls to turn it positive. The daily chart looks okay. But the test is always at the top, right? Are we rallying up and into resistance? And will we break out, or do we fail? Do we put in a lower high and then begin to roll over here? I would not be a buyer. I would wait for a pullback to support. Here's what I see setting up here. A possible, and again, possible, bear flag setup or an ascending wedge, whatever you want to call it. Either way, if we break this lower band of support, we're coming down here. I would avoid. It's had a great run. I would avoid. OPK for Franklin. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave off with Barun's Apple, because I am over, and I'll circle back through to Opco broke out last week. We're going to reset this alert. Okay, so we have a daily breakout, a weekly breakout, very strong stock. A bit extended on a weekly basis, but there's a remedy to that. And that remedy is for a nice orderly pullback and a retest. This is a daily chart now, a retest of support. So if we pull back and retest, and I think that we will, the $4.31 mark, give or take a penny, I would be a buyer of the shares. Good looking chart. Apple. You're seeing some exhaustion, signs of exhaustion here, as noted by the topping tails on the month so far. Last time you saw this, and the month isn't over yet, so let's make that point. And plus, I believe they have earnings coming up. Last time you saw price action like this is back here in January, and we got a pullback. So just take note of where we're at current. If we continue to pull back off the highs, that's a problem. If we rally back and close at the highs of the month, well, game on. We'll probably go higher. Weekly chart. Not a good week. I would not initiate a new trade here. If we do pull back on Apple, I think it's going to be $3.55 per share, which is support level number 1. And for the ideal pullback to $3.26 per share on Apple. Now the daily chart's implying that we may get another move up here. If we break Thursday's lows, I think we're going to be in correction territory. Now, if we break out, different story. It's game back on again. But I'd be watching the monthly chart. You always want to see as close to the highs of the month as possible, because that dictates the probability of newer highs for the following month. And DXCM, Tommy, has earnings for July 28th. Thank you for that, Tommy. All right, with that, folks, I'm over big time. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Everybody have a great night, profitable trading week, and I will talk to you soon. Members, don't forget, submit your symbols for tomorrow, and I'll go over them for you. Everybody have a great night, and be well. Always, Franklin, be well, my friend.